Welcome to the Addicted to DVC podcast, a deep dive into all things Disney Vacation Club. We share tips, tricks, and insider info, helping you make the most of your membership. Join us for the latest news, reviews, and interviews with DVC experts and enthusiasts. Whether you're a seasoned DVC member or considering your first contract, this podcast is for you. Now, here are your hosts, Mike Hurley and Gary Arruda.
Welcome to the Addicted to DVC podcast with Mike and Gary. This is episode 16, recorded in the D. Fauntleroy Recording Studios in Sarasota, Florida, and Cranston, Rhode Island. I'm your host, Mike in Florida, joined by my cousin and co-host, Gary, up in Rhode Island. Good evening, Gary.
How's it going, Pards?
Oh, I'm fantastic.
I was just thinking, I was going to say something weird and try to, come up with, a little catchphrase after you introduce me, but I think I got to workshop it a little more. I don't want to do it just, live on the show.
Well, for people who are new, they might not even know what PARDS means. You want to explain that?
Sure. So PARDS is your partner. So when you're on the golf course, when you're on the golf course, you don't have time to say partner, so you shorten it to PARDS.
Yep. Or
sometimes you say PARDSy.
PARDSy.
Sometimes you lengthen partner and add 7 R's at the end. You'll say, "There's my partner."
Oh, when somebody drains a birdie putt.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more so no, it's like when the guy hasn't showed up for 3 hours.
And he finally gets one in the air off the tee.
And you're out of the hole, and the guy makes a 4 for 3. There's my partner.
I snap hook one into the woods, and you don't top the drive for the first time on 17 hole. There's my partner. That's pretty stupid.
For those of you watching on YouTube, if you look, I do have a little scar. That's a razor cut.
Yeah, that art of shaving. Good thing they're out of business after that, sending you to the emergency room, it looks like.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of blood.
They're not quite out of business. They just closed all their stores.
Oh, they're online only now?
Yeah, their online is still up and running.
I didn't know. I thought they just closed the Disney Springs one, so they closed all their retail.
I think they've still got New York, but they had one down here in Sarasota at the mall down the street, and that one closed. I mean, not many people are looking for high-end, shaving products.
No, I felt like they had a pretty good, if you're going to do it, Disney Springs, you're on vacation, you're thinking about spending money, you can get a hot shave there and everything.
Yeah.
If that one can't survive, then it's probably not.
Yeah, because if you're gonna blow $600 on a razor, you're doing it on your Disney vacation, right?
I don't think they weren't quite $600.
No,
I mean, you could spend $600 there, I'm sure, but I mean, you like to spend money there when you went.
Yeah,
it's not a bad place, but
no, it's a good place.
Glad to see you're on the mend. You didn't actually go to the emergency room.
I didn't have to. No, we had no. I was fine.
It's crazy how though when you're shaving, the smallest cut just won't stop bleeding.
Won't stop.
That's a big one, but you'll have a little nick, you can barely see it, and then 20 minutes later, it's just still blood's still coming. You're like, what the hell's going on? Where am I?
Well, the worst is if you nick the ear.
Oh yeah, see, I don't have that problem with my beard, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I've had my barber click it.
Oh,
and it just doesn't stop.
No, that's not good.
Mm-mm.
But anyway, we're starting to slowly introduce the Addicted to DVC audience to our nonsense that they can hear over on our flagship podcast, WDWBTG.
Yeah,
which is usually about 20 minutes of nonsense.
We've been trying to shorten it up a little bit, though.
Yeah, it got a little bit too much, but you never know. Sometimes we get on a tangent, and we'll just keep going.
Yeah, I've got some breaking news coming up on that show.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Wow. Teaser. So if you don't listen, you could find us at www.btg.com if you want to hear the breaking news on our other show. But we obviously appreciate having you over here at Addicted to DVC. Mike, what's the topic for this week? What do we have on the agenda?
We're going to get into food. I don't know if we've even discussed much food on this podcast. We talk about it all the time on our other podcasts, but this has been pretty much an introduction. We did about 2 or 3 months of our DVC cruise. And then we had back-to-back guests on recently.
Yes. Yeah, it's been... If we have done food, it's been few and far between. There haven't been a ton.
I mean, pretty much every Saturday when I'm trying to think of topics to come up with, it's always food related.
Yeah, that's
I
always
can't
a
tell
good
you how
one.
many times you're like, "We already did that. We did that like 3 weeks ago." I'm like, "Huh? Yeah, yeah."
Yeah, there's a lot of I mean, after doing, what, 500 something episodes of the others,
Yeah,
there's bound to be repeat topics.
yeah. Yeah, so this week I wanted to get into the worst quick service restaurants on DVC properties.
So I don't like to be negative like you, Pards. I would
Um,
rather say the bottom 5.
do we wanna steer people away? I mean, people are tuning in for our expertise.
No, that's true. No, I yeah, it's the same as semantics. I was being a little sarcastic. Yeah, the worst ones.
I understand what you're saying because we said we wanted to be a lot more positive because we like this product a lot.
Yeah, and really saying that they're the worst doesn't mean they're necessarily bad. Some of them we'll talk about, and maybe they are. But I mean, if you have 14 or whatever properties, um, it's natural to rank them, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And our favorite isn't going to be someone else's favorite. You love Riviera. A lot of people don't like Riviera. There's people who like Saratoga Springs. Hello. A lot of people don't like that place. They call it the resort of last resort.
Yeah.
A lot of people. So, um, that's what's great about DVC, and that's what we love about it. There's something for everyone, and there's really no wrong answers. But we're here to give you the right answers on the worst quick serve restaurants at DVC properties. Did you rank them from 5 to 1,
I
like
kind of did. I
the
kind of
least worst to the most worst?
Yes.
Because that's what I did.
Yep, that's exactly how I did it.
Would you like me to start off
Yes, please.
with my number 5, my least worst of the bottom 5?
Yep.
And we're at my home resort
Okay.
at Saratoga, and we're at the Artist Palette.
Yep.
Um, it's not terrible.
No.
There's a chance on the right day this could make a top 5 and be like the number 5 coming in. That's how close it is. I mean, there's not a lot of room in the middle. If you think about the quick serves, there's only, what, 14 or 15?
Yeah, there's a few
Well,
that are
this is
not, knock out of the park good,
sure, of
and then
course.
a ton that are just your typical mediocre
Yeah,
quick services.
we'll have to do our top 5 in a couple weeks,
Yeah, no doubt.
but we'll start with the bottom. So Artist Palette, which when I stayed at Boulder Ridge in July, I enjoyed it. We went there a couple of times. It just didn't blow me away. There weren't the specialty options that really blew me away. The breakfast is just kind of I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm thinking of July, but in at Saratoga when we went um last September and then we went there in December last year,
Mhm.
some of the offerings, especially for breakfast, just didn't really jump out at me. There's only a few. There's that bounty platter that everyone has that I
Everybody
usually
has
try to
that,
avoid
yeah.
because I just don't like quick service eggs in general. Mickey waffles, can't really go wrong with that. Bacon, egg, and cheese bagel. I think my wife had that, and it was like kind of soggy. The bagel, like that's one thing. If you're gonna have a bagel sandwich, you gotta have it toasty, right? You
Yeah,
can't have
it's
like a
gotta be
soggy,
yeah,
chewy
nice crunch.
bagel. So the breakfast is just kind of it is what it is. I think the lunch and dinner are a little better at Artist Palette, and but there's only 3 like dinner exclusives. They have a meatloaf, which I had, which was okay. It wasn't the best meatloaf I've ever had, but it wasn't terrible. Um, they have a sautéed shrimp and an herb roasted chicken.
Yeah.
Then the regular entrees, chicken fingers, chicken and rice bowl, avocado toast. They have their pizzas, which is actually an upgrade from most quick serve because they have like a wood fire oven there. Again, this isn't the worst. Being on number 5 on this bottom 5 isn't truly an indictment. If you're staying there, I think it's a perfectly serviceable quick serve, but I would not go out of my way to check it out like some other ones that I would recommend people go to, even if they're not staying there. So that's why this was my number 5. There was nothing about it that really stood out. Although I do like the seating section, plenty of seats, nice lighting. I like the decorations in there and stuff and the ambiance in that quick serve. I'm not I think it's got plenty of room. It feels like it's, a quick serve. There's some that we'll get to later in this list that don't even feel like a quick serve. It's kind of an afterthought. This one actually, even though it's in the gift shop technically, it doesn't feel like it's just part of the gift shop. It feels separate. There's a seating area. So that's why that's my number 5. What do you have for number 5 on yours, Mike?
I have the Mara over at
Okay.
the Animal Kingdom Lodge. The Mara for me is it was very underwhelming. Yeah, it's got the zebra domes,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't for me it just felt like I wanted something more. I wanted some uniqueness and authentic foods, and it just didn't have it. And I think that they discontinued the stew. They used to have a stew there, and at times it's on and off the menu.
Okay. So maybe it's a seasonal offering
Well,
at times.
yeah, I mean, it's just they've got some bowls, but it's just I don't know. It's just I don't think it's what it was years ago. Like the Mara used to almost be a destination.
Well, a lot of people
You go
said
over
that.
there, you check out the gift shop, and you walk around the resort and grab a quick serve and get on your way back to whatever park you were at.
Yeah. Now, when we went there for the first time a couple years ago, I was ready to be blown away, but I didn't
Yeah.
really. The offerings weren't, like you said, they just weren't unique. You expect Animal Kingdom Lodge to have some truly unique offerings, and they just weren't up to my expectations. So I do agree with you. I didn't have it on my list.
Uh-huh.
I will say that, but I can see why. I've only been there the one time, and
Yeah,
it
we
wasn't.
went with you a couple times.
That was the only time I've been
Yeah.
when we were there, and it was okay, but and kind of like I said with Artist Palette, I imagine you feel the same way. Like it's not saying that it's bad; it's just
Right.
not up to the standards of some of the other
I
places.
think you almost have a Boma expectation, like Boma has so much variety and they have the boring stuff for the kids. Where you
Right.
just could they just have a little bit of that? Yeah, have the chicken fingers and the burger and the pizza for the kids, but just have a few unique items for the adults that are eating there.
I agree with that. So my number 4, I probably spoiled it a little bit, is Roaring Fork. And when I was talking about
All
Artist
right.
Palette, I clicked the wrong the wrong tab, so I saw Roaring Fork, and I'm like, wait a second. Um, we were there in July when we stayed at Boulder Ridge. We ate there a few times. The breakfast pastries are pretty good. They have some solid options there, like the grizzly bear claw, and they have some unique pastries at the quick serve. But that we didn't have a quick serve breakfast. We did have dinner there a couple of times, or lunch/dinner, and they were just okay. Like I had the barbecue brisket burnt ends. They were fine. Nothing special. Didn't blow me away. The cheeseburger was okay. Um, the kids had the chicken strips. I mean, that's really all they have. They have
Mhm.
2 dinner options: roast chicken and the burnt ends. They have a couple burgers, chicken fingers, a pulled pork sandwich. I think my wife got that. She said it was okay. They have a grilled cheese and a smoked sausage sandwich with peppers and onions, which is probably pretty good. I didn't try that one. Um, then some cold sandwiches. I usually stay away from the cold sandwiches at the quick serves because a lot of times they're prepackaged.
Yeah,
They're
they're
not
just
made to order,
prepackaged.
so I don't like that. That's not indicative of any one particular quick serve. That's kind of across the board at Disney. It feels like all their quick serves are the cold sandwiches are pre-made, which I don't love. But yeah, I don't know. It was fine. It just nothing out of the ordinary. And again, it's on the list just because most of the quick serves at the DVCs are pretty decent. So again, like 4 and 5 on my list, I wouldn't say avoid them if you're there, but again, I wouldn't go out of the way. Like I wouldn't leave Magic Kingdom to go to Roaring Fork for
No, I
my quick
understand.
serve.
No, I understand.
So, that's one of the reasons why it made the list for my number 4. What do you have for your number 4 partner?
This is going to be controversial.
Okay.
I have Captain Cook's over at the Polynesian.
I had a feeling you would because you've always kind of poo-pooed that place.
I've been once or twice. It just doesn't do anything for me. And I want to be blown away. And it just like I had the nachos, those pulled pork nachos, and they were just I mean, the meatballs are okay. It's just for me, that place should be special. And it's unfair. I don't think it should necessarily be on my list, but I think it's just one of the most disappointing quick services on DVC property.
I think a lot of people would disagree with you on that because they do like you hear a lot of things about those entrees that you happen to not like.
Right.
Like the coconut meatballs. Like that's stuff that doesn't go with stuff. You're not going to like that anyway. Pulled pork nachos. You're not a huge barbecue fan in general.
That's correct. Right.
So like that's just not your style. But I mean, they have a Tonga toast on their breakfast menu at the quick serve, which is a unique option. And, people will go to Kona for that, but you can get it at the quick serve. I think it's a solid quick serve. That's more my style of food.
Yeah.
So I could see why if you don't like that type of food, it's not going to meet it. But at least it does have some unique options. It's not just sandwiches and salads.
No, it does. It has it has. It's just it doesn't blow me out of the water.
They just don't do it for you. Those unique options aren't your favorites.
Yeah, it's just not my. It's just not. I very rarely go over there.
Yeah, no, I understand. I had a feeling it would make your list, and for those reasons. But it used to be. I don't know if it's still. It used to be the only one that was open 24 hours. Is that still the case?
Gasparilla was, and Gasparilla is no longer open 24 hours.
It might not be,
but that might have been one as well. But I remember, I think Gasparilla was the last one. They never went back to 24 after COVID.
The number 3 on my list is going to break your heart, Pards. And it kind of breaks my heart a little bit because I really like this place. But it cannot be the only quick serve. And that's the Boardwalk Deli.
Wow.
What they have is fantastic, but that cannot be that whole resort. Like, I feel like it's just there. It should be a secondary one. Like, that's almost like a stand to me. They have all these like hot dog stands now. Like, that could be its own. Like, they need a better, more robust quick serve at the Boardwalk. So only for that reason, it made my list. Because you can get bagel sandwiches for breakfast. You can get those fantastic lunch sandwiches. The corned beef Reuben. Go out of your way to get that. I would wholeheartedly say, leave Epcot, walk over, get that corned beef Reuben. You won't be disappointed. I'm looking at it now. It looks like they may have raised the price on that. That's up over $15 now. I remember it being less than that, wasn't it? Not that long ago. Even.
Yeah, the prices have gone up.
But I mean, still, even for that price, it's a good value. You can get that tomato soup as a side.
Fantastic choice.
Great.
Yeah.
But they only have 5 sandwiches, and they only have sandwiches and a couple different salads, like pre-made salads. So they don't have the plethora of options that most quick serves have. So that's the only reason. And if you're at the Boardwalk and that's your only true quick serve, I think that's a little disappointing.
That's fair.
And I know you have access to a lot of other stuff and you can walk, but if you're like having a resort day and you don't feel like
you have access to, if you don't want to go,
you can't even get a Mickey waffle. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes that's all it takes to keep the kids happy, and then you got to walk over to Beach Club Marketplace or something to get it. That kind of stinks. So that's the only reason. What they have, they do a great job. They just need a bigger quick serve at Boardwalk.
That's fair,
in my opinion. What's your number 3, Mike?
Mine's Artist Palette.
Okay.
Now I disagree. I don't like the seating over there.
Oh no.
Yeah, you know what it feels like to me? It feels like a mall food court. Because you're just out in the open and people are just walking by you constantly.
Oh, see, I don't feel that way, but
Yeah,
I could see it. Okay.
I think the food's okay. I just don't like where it is. It's in the gift shop. It's just like if you don't know where to look for that place, you're gonna miss it.
Well, that is true. Yeah.
Um, I had the flatbreads. The flatbreads, they were good.
They're not bad for sure. Yeah.
No, they're pretty good. I think I had a margarita. It was fantastic.
Mhm.
But again, limited choices.
Yeah.
Like I will not poo poo on their sit down because I love their sit down over there, and that place gets the
Destroyed.
what handed to them
Yeah.
all the time. Turf Club, but
Yeah.
Artist Palette, I think it's average as far as I'm concerned. It made your list, so
It's just
we're
fine.
both
I
in
agree.
agreement. It's kind of
No, I mean, I could see why it's on there. For sure. Obviously, it's on my list. I'm surprised you don't like the seating though. That's not really like
yeah.
a negative for me, but it is what it is. Everyone has
I like
their own
more of a
preference.
restaurant focused. Like this is basically seating in a lobby.
Yeah.
And you're getting like just a lot of traffic from like the people who are playing golf coming up and walking through the check-in who are going into the back to get a drink or to play some pool. It's just it's hot. It's more traffic with people who aren't eating there.
Yeah, I could see that because they're cutting through, like you said.
Yeah, they're just using that cut through.
And it's funny you say like it's almost an afterthought, and you could walk by it because when we were there with my parents, my dad was in there, and he's like, "Oh, is this it? This is the quick serve." I'm like, "Yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
It's not too big. Like it's right next to the cash registers for the gift shop. It's the same. You
And
have
it
to
seems
order
like,
at
yeah,
those.
that's the thing. It seems like everybody's confused. Like nobody knows where to go.
You just kind of stand around. Yeah,
Yeah, just kind of look. Do I order here or do I go here? Or,
right. So I could see it. I see why it's on there. Now, I do have a strong suspicion that our top two are going to be
I
very
mean,
similar,
you could assume.
unless you're going to throw a wicked curveball at me and throw Primo Piatto in your bottom five,
Ooh,
which
ooh.
I don't think that's going to happen. But I guess the order could be up for grabs. I'm going to go with my number two is Old Key West Goods Food to Go.
Okay, that's my number two as well.
And it's just
It's like a pool bar.
It's just there, like, you feel like you're in a closet ordering. It's not a whole lot going
And
on over there.
and when we went there a couple years ago during COVID, when we bought a reservation from somebody overseas, we ate there a number of times, and they had this salad. They had this shrimp salad that was
Mhm.
we had it 2 or 3 times, and it was so good that we actually got it and brought it home with us.
Oh, I remember you telling me about that, yeah.
It was like a chicken Caesar, but then it was one they had one that was with shrimp. And this thing had if there were a dozen shrimps on there, I wouldn't be exaggerating.
Yeah,
I
decent
mean, it
sized ones
was
too.
the dressing was good, it was fresh, the lettuce was oh, it was so good, so good.
But it's not there anymore.
Mm-mm.
Interesting. Now, I will say, as far as goods food to go goes, the menu's not terrible. It's small,
It's not a bad menu, no, no.
but there's nowhere to sit. You gotta sit outside, so if it's raining, you're screwed. Right? You basically you gotta go to Hospitality House. You can walk by it about 30 times before realizing it's there.
Right.
It's kinda behind Gurgling Suitcase, correct? If I'm remembering?
Yeah.
It's just past Gurgling Suitcase, which that's another thing that you can easily walk by and not realize it's there. Um, it's just a walk-up window, right?
That's all it is, yeah.
And there's those
Hey
little seats that are out on, like, that open boardwalk area, but there's no indoor seating.
right.
Um, so that's definitely a negative, and it seems like it's an afterthought. For the first DVC property, like, the food and beverage at Old Key West seems like
Terrible.
a definite afterthought, and
Terrible.
it's surely lacking. I guess they expected more people to just eat in the room and cook in the room when they first introduced the product, but
Yeah.
seems like
Which
obviously a
is
huge
hard to
missed
do in
opportunity.
studios, but maybe when they built that, it was basically like a true vacation club
Right.
where you were gonna do the 1 and 2 bedrooms and cook in the rooms. That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah. Like, the breakfast they have there doesn't have anything really unique or special. They have the platter, a breakfast wrap, Mickey waffles, and a plant-based breakfast wrap. So those are all kind of the normal go-tos. But lunch and dinner, they have a Key West Cuban sandwich, which sounds really good. Ham, pork, and Swiss with pickles and mustard on a Cuban roll. A turkey BLT, which isn't like crazy, but you don't see that at every place. A tuna salad sandwich, Olivia's famous tuna salad, which once in a while, a tuna salad sandwich just hits the spot for me. Every once in a while, I'll just be like, I really want a tuna sandwich. I don't know if you're the same way, but if it's made good, if it has like a good dressing, you can't beat it. And then a couple salads, nothing crazy, a vegetable wrap. So again, not a ton of offerings, but at least there's a couple of unique things like the Cuban and the tuna.
Yeah.
But definitely not a huge surprise that was in our bottom 5. And then number 1, unanimously voted worst quick serve is for me Beach Club Marketplace. I assume that's also
my number 1 as well.
It's just a shame. That's such a great resort.
It really is.
They have nice lounges. They have the ice cream shop. They have an amazing pool. Hurricane Hannah's is a decent quick serve if you count that as a quick serve. I know it's a pool bar. That one's decent, but like, why can't they? They have to be able to do better than that. It's just there, like you don't even know. It's like basically it's like a microwave in a dirty gas station.
Right.
I'm not saying it's dirty, but that's basically all it is. There's not even like an oven back there.
Yeah, I mean, if you want you want your sandwich heated, it's like they put it in that.
Yeah, like the Subway. Like if you go to Subway and they heat the bacon in the microwave.
Yes, exactly. I was trying to think of the sandwich. It wasn't a Subway, but there's another one like with, it runs through there and they add the cheese and they add to this and it just keeps going down that conveyor belt where it's getting toasted. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is over there.
And there's just nothing.
And nobody has a clue. Again, I mean, I thought Artist Palette was confusing. I wouldn't know where to go. It would be like the old Seinfeld with the soup Nazi. Like I would have no idea where to order.
No. And so not only do you have nowhere to order because it's in a gift shop, you have basically a non-existent menu. It's so limited. There's only 3 options for breakfast. But they're all boring options. Bounty platter, Mickey waffles, breakfast sandwich. Like dinner, roast chicken dinner. Okay, that's one option. There's a hot dog, a chili cheese dog. I'm gonna
because that does sound pretty good. The roast chicken dinner. I'm a little concerned ordering that.
Where the hell are they cooking
at the Super America? That's what I'm concerned about.
But then they just got sandwich Italian grinder, pre-made probably because it's cold. Caprese sandwich, pre-made because it's cold. Turkey and Swiss, pre-made because it's cold. Ham and cheese, pre-made, it's cold. Garden salad, pre-made. Pulled pork, they just microwave the pulled pork. Meatball sub, microwave those meatballs. It's the most boring. They do have clam chowder. Not too many places have clam chowder as a side.
Again, are you concerned about the clam chowder over there?
Maybe a little bit. I don't know. It's just nothing about it is like really appealing.
Got clams and dairy that's just been sitting around. Just
anyone ordered the clam chowder today? Nope, not this week. Just sitting there. It's got like 2.5 inches of the grease that rises to the top.
Oh,
just gotta really stir it up before they reach to the bottom. Get those week-old clams on there for you. Yeah, I don't know. It's just not. It's such a shame.
It really is. It's such an afterthought. It's almost like just close it down.
Yeah, sorry.
Because there are some decent options, like you said, with Hurricane Hannah's.
Yeah.
Tons of options over at the border. The problem is it rains every day for 3 or 4 months in Orlando. So if you're staying in that building and it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and you want to get something to eat, you don't want to be running around the boardwalk.
No, you gotta go outside, get soaked to get a lousy sandwich. Yeah. Yeah, it's really too bad because again, and there's nowhere to sit. You see people like sitting in the hallway at those little tables trying to
they go to the end of the solarium, which is a good option, but
you don't really like if you're just hanging out in the solarium, you want people bringing their stinky food in there.
I agree with you. Yeah, because you stayed there over the summer at the DVC building, and
Yeah.
when you're cutting through, all you do is see people and they leave their stuff out on those chairs because they're
Right.
too lazy to actually go and throw them away. So when you're walking into the main lobby from that DVC building, you
Yeah, there's
just feel like
people
chicken
eating
run.
outside at
Yeah,
those tables. It's covered, so if it's raining, you're not gonna get wet, but
right.
do you really wanna be eating a clam chowder outside where it's in July when it's 90 degrees?
Exactly.
I don't know. It's too bad because everything else about Beach Club is really great. It's just the quick serve is shameful.
Yeah, it's lacking. Yeah, it's
And like you said, it's not like they're gonna make it any better because 'cause they're not gonna put in, like, a brick oven for pizzas and stuff.
right. Yeah, it just doesn't fit in there. They just
Just
don't have
close
the
it.
infrastructure there.
Just
So
call it a
just
grab and go. It's grab and go
yeah,
sandwiches. You just go and they have a mug refill and that's it. I don't know. It's almost a slap in the face to try to give me a piece of chicken, like a roast chicken from there.
I almost want to review it now.
Beach Club Marketplace, roast
There's
chicken.
not many reviews of that place, I wouldn't assume.
No, probably not many.
Do you have any honorary mentions?
I was thinking the only one that came up was what's the drawing a blank. I keep wanting to say the Wave, but Contempo Cafe.
Okay, I love Contempo Cafe.
But the only reason I say it is because it used to be revered so highly, and it seems like
Yeah,
it's dropped off a little bit.
yeah, you're right. It has.
I think it's still good enough to stay out of the bottom 5, but I don't think it's high on the top 5 list at least anymore because they just kinda they lost a lot of quality over the years.
Like, I agree with your Roaring Forks, and that probably should have been in place of Captain Cook's, but I just wanted to be a little bit conscious. I wanted to throw something out there where
Right.
people would scratch their heads.
I was thinking of Mara as well. That was close just because it was the expectations were so much higher,
Mhm.
but at least it has, like, a seating area and it's an actual quick serve. It's not an
It's a
afterthought.
great quick serve. The inside is gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice.
And they're so efficient with the ordering and the getting your food and sitting down. There's never anybody in there, so you're not waiting around. Place is always clean. It's a beautiful inside. It's just subpar, I think.
Yeah, just
Menu items.
below what it could be. For sure. I don't know. How about you? You have any honorable mentions? Well,
Like I
Roaring
said,
Fork is down there.
Roaring Fork. Gasparilla is solid. I do like Contempo Cafe.
Now, what about I didn't think of this because it doesn't really strike me as a DVC, but now Fort Wilderness is technically DVC.
Yeah, I was thinking about the same thing.
But you said that place is pretty good, right? Although it's newer. I haven't been since they revamped it.
I mean, we had some
Grab-
great. They had a great breakfast.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did switch over from a buffet
Right, to a quick serve.
into a quick serve.
So I don't know. That could maybe be on the list, but I haven't really looked into that one too much. Yeah, I don't have
that's
anything else to add though.
all right. That's all I have too. We'll wrap things up. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at DVC Addicts. Email the show info@addictedtodvc.com and join our Facebook group, DVC Addicts. For my cousin and co-host Gary in Rhode Island, I'm Mike in Florida. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you for listening to the Addicted to DVC podcast with Mike and Gary. We want to hear from you. Email us at info@addictedtodvc.com and follow us on all socials at DVC Addicts. We appreciate you being a part of our DVC community, and we'll see you again on our next episode. Thanks again for listening, and welcome home.